Okay, sources is also another good way that you can tell whether an argument, if a newspaper article is trustworthy. And even if you're looking at it in terms of comprehension and what sources it use, think about, okay, what source are they and what do they add to it? And whether they are a good source or a bad source. And then we're going to look at a couple of good sources and bad sources here. So first of all, a good source or a generally trustworthy source, such as government spokesperson, police, professors, scientists, the subject of the article themselves, get it from the horse's mouth, or photographic evidence, are usually fairly trustworthy sources of information. We can trust them. Especially if you think of things like professors and scientists, they often provide data and facts. One thing I didn't include there were things like statistics, which are often very good things to have as a source. That's usually often either the subject or the article or something that a scientist has provided or someone of academic note, such as a professor or scientist, has used to prove what they're saying in the article. So depending on what it is, someone of authority is really anyone who's a trustworthy source. So someone who is an expert and can be perceived as being an expert in a particular field. Some are also less trustworthy. Some are bad sources. For instance, witnesses or a source close to. Now, witnesses, yes, okay, they may have had a very good recollection of what happens, but there's always a chance that they don't. So unrecognised experts, the subject of the article as well, particularly if they're denying everything, or the man on the street, which again sort of comes in with witnesses as well. But anyone who's just sort of been dragged and said, what do you think about this, is not really a very strong source and usually will only be used by a journalist if they're really getting quite desperate for sources, or if they are really dealing with something quite confidential and quite sort of hushed up, then they may often indicate a source close to, especially if they can't reveal who it is that said it, but have it on very good authority that it is true, and I'll try and provide other facts to prove that. However, that doesn't necessarily, in fact, in many cases, it doesn't make the article trustworthy, but it does make the article interesting, even if it isn't exactly 100% trustworthy. But those are your difference between your ones of authority, ones who appear to know what they're talking about, to those which can't be proven, and you need more details in order for them to be actually very strong and reliable sources. That's not to say that these sources on their own, particularly of course the subject of the article, cannot be in this category. It's just more likely that they're going to be less trustworthy than these ones are.